Hello.
Oh, I got
Hello.
it. I got it. It's my fault.
Of course it is. I didn't doubt it for a second.
Oh, baby.
I knew it was your fault all along.
I had my, I always have to have my laptop muted because of the radio show. And I forgot that it was muted.
Yes, fascinating.
How you doing?
I got another watch. I'm sick.
My God. How much was it?
I'm
Merry
sick.
Christmas,
No.
Marv.
This one.
Happy Hanukkah, Marv.
This one wasn't. Well, I mean, it was $1,000. But as far as watches go, that's
Rich.
for an automatic watch. That's not a very expensive watch at all. But why do I need 3 watches?
I don't know. And I don't really see you as a watch person.
I like watches. I've worn
I
watches
know.
often.
I know. I just don't. You know what I picture? I mean, is it a new watch?
Yeah, it's a new watch.
See, I would imagine.
What do you think I am, buying gray market watches? Just kidding. I have a used watch that I bought from a place called Chrono 24 previously.
Wow, you just said a lot of words I've never heard in my life. I would imagine that you would want vintage, not crap watches, like really, really nice and expensive watches for their time. And now they're super vintage because you would be romantic about like their story.
Yeah, it's not a bad assessment. It's probably true in many other areas. But with watches being fully mechanical, you don't know how well they were taken care of. And that's opening a whole can of worms. It can get really messy buying a vintage watch because you don't know what the inside's like. Are the gears still in good shape? Is it run properly? And if it doesn't, you have to get that thing fixed. And what does that cost? So you're not wrong. But when it comes to watches, I guess newer is what I've, because I would like a working watch. I bought some really cheap older watches on Etsy at the beginning of my watch foray.
Yeah.
These were mechanical, so you had to wind them, not automatic, which is self-winding. So they were shit. Granted, I paid $45, $50 for them, so they weren't high-end to begin with. But one of them, a week after getting it, would run like 20 minutes fast every hour. So it just was not keeping time. I don't know if...
How long before you fixed it, or how long after you fixed it would it start running fast?
You couldn't fix it. You would reset it, and it was just running fast all the time.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think that gives a bit of insight into the problems older watches can have. Now, granted, if it's a more expensive watch, maybe the person's taking care of it. It's a weird thing. Obviously people are into it. There are whole channels on YouTube dedicated to these watch nerds and people reviewing watches, and the communities on Reddit and people talking about how they own multiple watches. I don't know what the drive is, why one isn't good enough. Why do I need more than 3? But I get different ones.
Yeah.
I have a pilot's watch with a bezel and a GMT watch, and now I just got a field watch with no date, which is cool.
I don't understand what those... I mean, I understand, but I don't know what a field watch is. What's a pilot watch with a bezel?
Pilot watch. The bezel's the thing on the outside that can twist around.
What is that for?
Dive watches have them quite often, so you can set it to when you go underwater and keep track of how long you've been under there and gauge how much air you have left.
Oh.
With the pilot watch, it's actually a countdown bezel, which works in reverse. So on a dive watch, if you turn the bezel, let's say it's 2:10. So you turn the bezel, so the top marker is then at the 10-minute position. It just counts up. You're like, all right, I've been underwater for 10 minutes. Oh, 20 minutes. But the reverse bezel, like if I go do laundry, I set, and then there's 45 minutes left, and then you're not going to grasp this, but there's 45 minutes left. You set it, and then it counts down. So it's like, oh, I started that with 45 minutes left. There's now 10 minutes left.
The bezel moves on its own?
No, you turn it. You twist it yourself.
But how do you know that? Oh, because you've like made a little marker on the basically like on the outside of the watch, so it helps you know.
It's got markers on it.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's how you know that you've
Yes.
spent so much time somewhere or something.
Yeah. And then the GMT. This is fascinating stuff. I know is
there's somebody that is a watch nerd that's like, yes, finally one topic.
Don't worry, the whole show won't be about watches.
Oh, you just destroyed that one person's dream.
Then there's the GMT watch, which is Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah.
It's really just...
You know what? Can I say really quick?
What?
I was a real idiot and thought that was Georgia Mountain Time.
Yeah, that's a real idiot thing to say.
I think I was in my 20s.
Georgia.
Might have been late 20s.
Yes, the Blue Ridge Mountains have an additional time zone. They're so magical and special. When you go there, time just exists in its own plane.
I never thought about it. I just saw it like on the Weather Channel because I always loved the Weather Channel, you know, because it was so jazzy and awesome. And then, well, it used to be, not anymore. And then, yeah, they would have like GMT, and I lived in Georgia, and I was like, I don't know, Georgia Mountain Time. I just put it together in my mind, and it was so.
That was the only thing you could come up with that started with G.
I didn't even like think about like I thought about it, but I didn't consider it. I just filled it in with my brain, and I never thought about it again, and that was just it. All right, go ahead.
Well, and that watch shows an additional hour hand, so you can track a different time zone.
Another hour hand? How do you keep track which is your...
They look different. They're very distinct. They have very different looks.
How come the so many watches that aren't like diving, like made specifically for diving, have that bezel on the outside? Is it just for funsies?
No, I guess there's different purposes. If you have a chronograph, for example, actually the bezel shouldn't really move on a chronograph, but there's markings on the outside so you can time things properly. Some GMTs have a bezel with a set of hours on there so you can twist it and set a different time zone that way. There's different reasons for these things. And then,
interesting.
And then the last watch I got was it's a reissue. It was gone for quite a while, but it was it's the watch that some dude in the 50s who explored Antarctica wore. That's the watch he wore as he worked with the U.S. Navy to go explore Antarctica.
Not the actual watch, just the design of the watch?
Yeah, the design of the watch. Yeah. But this heritage is big in the watch world.
Why?
People like the Omega Speedmaster, the only watch approved by NASA for space flight.
Wow.
So it was the watch that the astronauts wore on the
moon.
That still is a big selling point today. Those things go for like $7,000 new.
Do astronauts wear socks? Do you think they get to pick out their own socks?
I'm sure they have socks. But no, I don't think they pick out their own clothes. I don't know how the space station works. But
they were just wearing like shorts and a t-shirt underneath all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm with stupid.
No, Neil Armstrong would never do such a thing. Maybe Buzz would.
Oh, back then they'd wear like the short sleeve button up with the black tie.
Yeah, because it was serious business. It wasn't a fucking game.
Whoa, you're getting intense.
Yeah, going to space isn't a joke. You don't wear shirts like I'm with stupid.
I would.
Lives were on the line.
Not really, just their own.
Yeah, their lives were on the line.
Yeah, so they're like, this is my life. I'm with stupid. That's my life.
Each person needed to do their job.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, you would kill the others.
What they really do, press buttons.
Yeah, read about Neil Armstrong trying to land that lunar lander.
Oh, yeah.
And how he was running out of fuel and they were going to have to bail. But even if you bailed, how do you get back to the module properly? It's very insane.
What do you mean?
Because you have to time it. So if you bail, it's not you're just flying up with all the fuel in the world to connect with the module that was going around the moon that held Michael Collins. It's very...
Oh, you're saying, okay, so like he pushed off of the moon and then had to reconnect with the module?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're landed, you can think about that a bit more and time it and do the math, but he was running out of fuel and they may have had to have bailed on the landing if he didn't find a good landing spot. I think they had like a couple seconds left before they had to bail by the time they landed. Or what if they had run out of fuel? Then they just had to sit down there and wait to die.
Nah, so the guy at the module would go back home And then and on the way, they'd scramble and get somebody else out.
No, they couldn't. They could have been trapped on the moon. If the lunar
Well, yeah, they'd
lander
be trapped,
didn't,
but then we'd rescue them. They're fine.
we wouldn't. They would have died.
Why?
I hope because there were no rescue missions.
Why not? They could have had it. They could have scrambled something together. Did you see Apollo 13? They made this fit into this.
No, there was already a statement written.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's different because
there's a statement written for like every president that's still alive.
What you're talking about, though, is different. When you're in it in Apollo 13, they had access to the things that they needed.
Yeah.
If you're just stranded on the moon, someone can't just swoop down there and pick you up.
No, I know. I didn't say swoop.
And they wouldn't have launched something else. They had no plan. There was no plan.
Oh, there was absolutely
there was no
a plan.
rescue mission. There was not.
There would have to be a plan.
There wasn't. They would.
There would
died.
have to be. Come on. Why wouldn't whoever was in the module, like, they'd be communicating and like Buzz and whoever were like, we're fucked. We're stuck. Okay, I'm gonna run back home, and on the way, I'm gonna let them know. I'm gonna get them on the phone. I'm gonna let them know.
There wasn't enough power in the thing. It would have died. They would have frozen.
Oh, they might have frozen. What's the temperature on the moon?
This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous argument.
I'm just talking. What's the temperature on the moon?
You know, at some point that they would have been on the dark side of the moon.
Why?
Just because we don't see the other side of the moon. The other side of the moon is illuminated at times. That's when we see a new moon. So the side we usually see doesn't have light. So they would have been in complete darkness and freezing. I guess they.
But the moon doesn't spin.
It does spin.
It does? No, it doesn't.
It spins the same speed as it revolves. That's why
spinning and revolving is the same word.
No, it's not.
It spins the same way it revolves.
Well, revolutions then. So that's what I meant.
I don't understand.
It goes around the Earth, and it also spins on its axis.
Oh, I see. Okay. It does not spin.
Yes, it does. It spins the same speed it goes around the Earth. It spins on its axis the same speed.
Oh.
That's why
I can't picture this for some reason. I have like no spatial like ability for some reason.
Put something in the middle of your desk.
Okay.
To act as the Earth. And then take
I have a
something
nail
round.
file.
Take something round.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
And have it revolve around the thing you put in the middle of your desk without turning. If it didn't turn, at different points you'd see other sides.
I have an AirPod and I have a napkin. I'm going to make it to a circle. All right, here I go. So the napkin's the Earth, and the AirPod's the circle. I mean, the moon.
So don't. If you say the moon doesn't spin on its axis.
Oh yeah.
So if it didn't, at different points on Earth, you'd see other sides. You'd see all sides of the moon. Now, if you move it and you keep the same side facing the Earth at all times, it does spin. It spins at the same speed as it revolves.
Oh, I see now.
That's if you believe in all that shit.
Oh, sure. Man, I really could not picture that in my mind. Thank you for the demo.
Yeah, you can tell with the frustration growing in my voice. It's like, how could you not know this? The rescue mission? No
that's still possible.
No big deal. They'll
not
just send another
deal.
rocket
I just
up.
think it could happen.
They were fully prepared to die.
Yes, of course. But also, are they just going to be like, well, sorry, bye.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to try? You're not going to try for it?
No,
Mr. Andrews.
There
That's
was no
from
way.
Titanic. Oh, shit. I just spilled coffee on it. So.
There was not a way. And they would have had to dumped and pissed in the lunar lander. They didn't even have much food in there, but getting out of their spacesuit. I don't even know how well the lunar lander protected them from the elements because they already were in their space, but they didn't have their helmets on at that point. So I guess there was some kind of airtight seal.
But you're right. It does need to have power to be able to like sustain them, right?
It needed power. It needed the fuel. What if it just didn't lift
Oxygen?
off? What if it didn't lift off? Like they got to go to the moon. I guess if you're going to die doing it, at least you got to go to the moon. If you're going to die,
I think that would be that would be something that would not really give you any solace because you're fucking dying.
Well, I'm saying if somebody gave you the scenario and they said, You have to die. You're going to die. Would you
Oh,
rather
but would you
die
still go?
on the way to the moon, before you go on the moon, or would you like to walk on the moon and then die? I'd
Right.
say, well, at least let me walk on the moon. It's like when I go on a trip that I'm excited about. I'm like, hey, look, if the plane's going to crash, at least let it be the flight home. Let me
Right, because then you
let
get to
me,
experience the thing.
yeah, let me enjoy this trip.
Well, you know, that's a lot. That's like a theory about why people enjoy ordering things so much, is because it's ultimately a fear of death, because I'm not going to die before my package gets here. I got a thing coming from Amazon.
No, it's that. It's not just vanity and never-ending need for consumption, a hunger that is never satiated.
Well, there is that. There's a funny. Oh, never mind.
What?
I was going to bring up the app that shall not be named.
Yeah. Well, you can say there's a funny
I
internet
I,
video.
I saw a funny internet video where someone was like video commenting on another video of this. They have these stupid videos where these girls go to Target, and you know, it's them walking in, it's them getting a cart, it's them getting a coffee at the Starbucks and putting it in the cart, it's them like picking out all this bullshit from Target, and this one person, the person commenting on it, just keeps saying like, you don't need that, that's going to end up in the landfill, that's garbage, like reminding you that everything that this person is picking out, if you look at it in the context of like, oh, fun, like shopping, oh, that's cute, you know, but if you, which is its own thing, but then if you look at it from the other side where it's like, this is all such bullshit and unnecessary. It's really fun.
It is, but they've got us right where they want us.
Not everybody. Some people are making content like that, and then I'm seeing it and I'm like, hell yeah.
I'm just saying, this never-ending need to spend. People are like, yes, more.
I know, it is fun though. I mean, you just spent money on a watch.
I know. It's not anything that's needed. It's
Yeah.
straight, like even clockwise. It's like, I don't need a fucking watch.
Clockwise.
Like the whole thing has shifted because, you know, there was a time.
Counterclockwise.
Well, there was a time when you needed to know the time.
Yeah.
But now the time. Think about how many clocks there are in the world now, just with fucking phones.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You go into a stadium, a football stadium's like, oh, there's 75,000 clocks in here right now. Not
With
counting
people
the ones
holding their phones? That's hilarious. I never thought about that. There's also 75,000 calculators.
Yeah. It's so, what the fuck's the point of a watch?
Yeah.
I guess I like the accessories because I also have 3 pairs of glasses. I can create.
That's not that many.
I can create any combo of watch glasses that I like. You should also see the number of straps I have for these watches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Would you take a picture of all of that and send it to me?
Yeah, I'll take a picture.
Thank you.
The old Timex is also in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just ignore the Timex.
Okay.
I mean, I wear the Timex.
Timex has its place.
Well, I don't wear it anymore. I used to wear it. Yeah, it's a good, out of all these watches, the Timex that runs on a battery, and it's a quartz movement, by the way. People, the snobs look down on it because it's battery powered and it doesn't have all the complex gears, and you know, as watches have different things. Speaking of the moon phases and shit like that.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
they can have many complications, which if you're into the art of building the fucking thing, it is pretty insane. It's like, all right, I've created a system of gears that all work together, and a spring and a flywheel and all that shit that keep track of time, keeps track of the date. It follows the moon phases. I can, that's a chronograph, and I can time things. Like, okay, yeah, that's pretty fucking insane that somebody was able to figure that out. But the quartz keeps the best time of it all.
Okay.
These mechanical watches, you know, always run a little faster, a little slow. It's not anything major, but this Timex that I haven't worn in a year and a half, it's just been sitting on this dresser with its battery. Exact time. It still has the exact time. It's still ticking.
Wow.
It also has Indiglow, which is pretty
cool.
cool.
Fun. See, that's the type of watch I'm familiar with. And then when I think of expensive watches, I think of the ones that are like all metal and have like the metal band and are huge and like are worn by businessmen in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't like that. The watch I bought came with metal band. Beads of Rice, it was called.
Beads of rice?
But it also came with an orange nylon strap because it matches the orange secondhand, which is pretty bold. And I'm not going to wear it too often, but I did put the orange strap on it for the time being. I'll probably swap it with another. But I like these canvas straps.
Yeah.
Those metal
To me, that doesn't
things.
equal expensive,
Well, the watch itself is the expensive part, but
Right.
it does tone it down a bit. Those bands, it's like mafia dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
And
want
like sometimes they're like really loose.
That's, yeah, I guess some people like to wear it that way, but you're
Yeah.
supposed to.
I never wear a watch ever. I feel like it it makes my arm look stumpy.
There you go. I shared a photo.
Oh, thank you.
You can see all the straps.
Oh my god, look at the Oh, and there's money. Hell yeah. $6.
Oh yeah, $6.
Woo! Oh, I like that orange strap. Oh, these are cool looking.
What? The watches?
These watches.
Yeah, they're each
They're
one
like really simple. I'm picturing, like I said, I don't know anything about watches, so I keep thinking about like big, chunky, like like the bezel on the outside has lots of little triangles on it, and I'll try and find a picture of something that I'm thinking.
I have taste, and
You
each
do.
watch is unique enough so it sets itself apart from the other. So it's not like, why do you have very similar watches? But you still lean towards the ones that you like the most, and the one in the middle, not counting the Timex on the left, the black one with the bezel. That's the one I tend to like the most.
The black one with the bezel. Oh, okay. So like, here, I'll send this one to you. It's Fossil. And it's chunky.
Fossil. Who the fuck wears a Fossil?
What a rube.
May as well give me a Swatch.
All right, I sent it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a chronograph too, so it's got the smaller dials.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on. I don't think that's terrible. I think if you took that off the metal band.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of metal band I picture. Like this, even though I don't know how much this watch was or whatever, it's nothing. But that looks like, when I think of expensive, this is the type of thing I'm thinking of. And yours are like really understated and nice looking.
Yes, thank you. But I would not wear the metal band. No offense to people listening who do wear the metal band.
Maybe people don't even know that you can switch out the bands.
People know. Anyone who has a watch knows.
Oh, okay.
You can swap it out. I also I asked for one more watch for Christmas.
You did?
Like a $20 Casio digital watch. I feel
Ooh.
like I need to go in the opposite direction.
That's cool though.
And then but I got to get a box now to store them in with a beautiful display case so everyone who comes into the house can see my collection. This is the problem. This is the line I walk with this, is it really can become like a very snooty, pretentious thing. And it's like, yeah, I like having watches. And look, I get it. Some people spend tens of thousands of dollars and they have multiple of these things. And I guess it's like any other fancy piece of jewelry. It's like, I'm going to show these off even when I'm not wearing them. They'll be on display in my house.
See, and that's more about displaying your wealth versus, I don't know, just enjoying the watches, right?
Yeah, well, like that Omega Speedmaster, I like that, the moon watch, but I can't justify that price because a lot of it is, like a Rolex. I'm not saying that Rolexes shouldn't cost more. I said we weren't gonna talk about this, but
no, we should. It's good.
So all these watches I have the movement. That's the insides, the gears, and everything that they're mass produced. So that keeps the cost down. Different companies make the movements, and the watch companies buy those movements, plop them in the cases. They design the cases and the face and the handset, all that. Something like Rolex, they create their own movement in-house. So they're not using something mass-produced. I guess it's mass-produced for them. So because of that, all right, you can boost the price some because you've put this time in and developed your own movement. But so much of it is just, it's a Rolex and it's a status. And it costs this fucking ungodly amount of money. And yeah, people at that point, it is being worn to show off. These watches, I'm not saying that, what's the, I buy them for myself. I'm not wearing these watches. No one's going to notice anyway. Maybe some person who's into watches would notice a watch I have, but most people aren't thinking about that shit.
Right.
And I feel like $1,000, $1,500 is a nice range for something that's as complex as these things are, and feels fair. Really, I think like $500 would be fair, but whatever. It's what the market says. But I anything more than 1,500, it's difficult in my mind. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't really justify why that would cost that much.
Yeah, I can't imagine spending that much.
Let's look at the most expensive Rolex on this app that I have. And then we can look at a Patek Philippe.
What is the Patek Philippe?
That's a brand of watch. Very, very expensive. All right. Filter by price. How can we... Okay, price high to low. Here we go. The most expensive Rolex on Chrono 24 is $2,115,509.
Why? Why? It was owned by someone important?
It's from 79. It's a Rolex Daytona. See, I'm not deep enough into this to know why this... I don't know what would happen if I sent this to you. I'm going to try it.
Okay.
Well, meaning you don't have the app, so I don't know what happens. But
you look at this screenshot.
You look at this thing and think, there's nothing special about it. Why is that thing? But there's some story behind it and some history.
My God. And ew, and it's so ugly.
And then the one next to it, the Rolex Daytona Rainbow, is only 1.1 million, but you should look. This one is disgusting. It's gaudy. It's filled with rainbow-colored bezel and diamonds.
What in
is
the
that rose
world?
Gold? Yeah, look at that. 1.1 million.
Oh, this was worn by a Arab sheik.
The rainbow one?
Yeah, this is. You know who would wear this? Is Dr. Now from My 600-Pound Life. Dr. Now. You need to lose 30 pounds in 6 days.
Yeah, but we wear something with that many diamonds and that.
Yes. Have you seen his stethoscope?
No.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, here we go. Looking at these Patek Philippe's. The most expensive one is 8.5 million.
Whoa, that is insanity.
Even if I had that money, the market exists. Somebody's paying this much for these watches. But you have to have a shitload of money to just spend 8.5 million on a watch. Like, even if you had $100 million to your name.
Ew, it looks like it's full of, it looks like a cockroach made this watch. Ew, I hate it. Oh, but see, again, this is like, I have a very expensive watch and you need to know about it. That's all that is.
Even if you had $100 million to your name, could you justify spending 8.5% of all the money you had on a watch?
Well,
so
I think...
the only reason I bring that up is like, you really have to have just a shitload of money to spend 8.5 million, because 100 million is a shitload of money. But to me, it's like, I can't spend 8.5% of my worth on a fucking watch. So who is buying these fucking things?
I mean, people like, have you ever is it Bill Gates? Spend Bill Gates' money. It's a website. And
I've heard of it. I've never played around with it.
Yeah, you can like buy every NFL team. You can buy like airline companies, and you like all kinds of insane things, and you only like scratch the surface of the amount of money he has.
There is a level of control, right, with these people. I'm not justifying anything, but thinking about having that kind of money, I could come into New York and just buy how many buildings?
Yeah.
Like anything for sale. It's like, I want this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. They're all mine. And you don't need all of those houses, let's say.
Right.
and you could just go stay in a different one every night of the week because you could.
Yeah.
Just because you had the money and you could. At least people aren't doing. I guess it's worse because companies are doing that and then renting them out at outrageous prices. But that's a different thing. They're both bad. If what's his name, Bezos, went around and bought everything. Bezos hates New York now though because we rejected him.
Oh, you did?
He was good. They were going to build. Amazon was going to build a whole campus right across the East River in Queens. Do you remember this? Amazon did this whole thing. We're going to choose our new cities, and cities were groveling. That. Atlanta was one of their groveling.
I remember.
Please, Jeff, please come here. It was disgusting.
Bring your business to my state.
It was disgusting. And then he settled on something outside of DC and New York and Queens, and they were changing laws for him. Like there are laws that you can't have private helicopters landing at your building. Helicopters actually used to the Pan Am building at the time. It's not the MetLife building. It's behind Grand Central. If you saw it, you'd know it. There was a helicopter crash up there, I think, in the 70s.
Oh.
And they changed the laws. Like, no more, none of this. No more private helicopters in the city. It's too dense and accidents will happen.
You know what's so weird is that, like, traffic people are constantly in helicopters, and then so many people just die randomly in private helicopter crashes.
Yeah, because they're fucking dangerous. They're rocks.
I know, but like, I don't hear about traffic people dying like all the time.
I mean, let's hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying I don't understand the reason why one seems less dangerous than the other.
I can't speak to why there aren't more traffic copter accidents, but it's a pretty insane thing. And there are certainly helicopters in New York. Like there are services you can fly to JFK if you've got the money. So
well, and I'm sure hospitals.
Yeah, but private. So for Bezos, like, all right, we'll change the law for you.
Oh,
you can have a helipad. Did change it? Yeah, they were going to allow him to have his own helipad at the campus, and they could fly in. And people were pissed about that. And before they even broke ground on building anything, it was just announced. All the housing in that area and along the train lines that would serve the new Amazon campus shot up in value, and rentals shot through the roof. Just because people are going to want to live here so they can work for Amazon.
So it ruined that. Okay, got it.
There was speculative real estate, and there were fucking assholes buying condos immediately. And Amazon was getting all these tax breaks, and I forget how they were going to give back because they were displacing people in these neighborhoods too. So that was a big thing. Like, well, we will hold once a year for 5 years job training. We'll go to the public housing near where our campus will be, and we'll have a job fair, and we'll hire some people, or we'll at least give them an opportunity to be hired. Like, oh, thank you for giving back once a year for 5 years. This is what you're giving back to the city after all the city's giving you, because they so desperately, and nobody wanted Amazon. People don't want tech companies because you see what it did to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Tech companies, everything's already out of control these days, but this was before COVID, and New York was already expensive. But tech companies come in, good luck. It just becomes rich bro land. So there were a lot of people against this, and then there were like local politicians who were fighting it, and at some point Bezos didn't like the fact he wasn't getting a warm reception and said, fine, we're not doing it. And I cheered. Amongst many other people. What
happened to all those people that
those people who bought those places got fucked as they deserve to, being greedy. Everything's fucking fueled by greed. Just going back to these watches for a second, there was this limited edition watch with like ghosts on it. It was like a Halloween watch, and it was cool. I'll send you a picture of this. They only made like 50 of them, or 100 because there were two different colors. They were selling for $475. Immediately, like the morning they went on sale, you get on 10 seconds after they went on sale, sold out. They're then popping up on eBay for $2,500, $3,000.
I mean, it's the game, right?
It's fucking disgusting. Just let people buy things that they want. Not everything needs to be, this is an opportunity for me to profit, and I'm going to take it. It's fucking gross. This stupid golf game I play on my phone, Golf Rival,
Uh-huh.
There's already like you have to upgrade clubs to have any chance at competing,
Right.
and it takes a very long time if you're just playing the game without paying.
Yeah.
But of course you can pay. So there's people who pay, and whatever, that's their prerogative if they want to pay $25 for one card that gets you a tenth of the way to upgrading your club. So you really can spend thousands of dollars. You would think that would be enough money. But outside of that, they're now forcing all these ads on you. Oh, you want to play the game? And then you got to watch these ads. It's like, when is enough enough? And I guess it pushes you to the point where you just don't play it anymore.
Right.
They're trying to find that balance. But it is insane. Think about apps and mobile gaming to how it started. There were games, and you play the game, and the game was self-contained, and maybe it cost you $4 to buy. That wasn't enough. All right, well, now everything's free, but not really, because there are in-app purchases. And if you really want to get anywhere in this game, you're going to have to pay for things. And it's going to be fucking filled with ads. It never fucking ends.
That's why Apple Arcade is kind of nice, because you just pay $5 a month and you can play these really nicely designed games without ads or anything. And you don't need to buy, and you don't buy anything to do anything. It's just a in-app game. But once you cancel your subscription, I think that the Apple Arcade app on your phone no longer works. So like you can still only play it if you are subscribed. So that's
what do you mean it doesn't work? So
I think the app you can't play the game anymore if you're not subscribed to Apple Arcade.
Oh yeah, that's fine then. Like, it's a subscription fee, and what is it? You said $5 a month?
Yeah.
Then once you're in, there aren't ads and there aren't micro
you don't have
transactions.
Right. It's not like that. So like I was doing that with the kids because they were downloading these free games. And first of all, they were just like the stupidest fucking games, but whatever. And there would be all of these all these ads. And then those ads, they're like the ads where you can play the game like while you're waiting for it to stop advertising to you.
Yeah.
And then they would start playing those stupid games without downloading that. But like, I'm like, no, just focus on the thing you're doing. Go back, get rid of this ad. And then it was making them buy other ads. But anyway, they were all just terrible, constantly popping up in the middle of whatever they were doing, trying to advertise to them. And have you seen, I've sent you those ones before where it was like, that girl is really disgusting and you have to like clean her up.
Oh yeah, those
are so weird.
She got like matted hair and mange.
See, it started out kind of normal where she was just like not as attractive as the blonde whatever, and so like her boyfriend dumps her immediately and starts walking with the hot one, and you have to like zhuzh up her wardrobe and like give her makeover. And then it turned into her literally covered, she's like a mud person. She's like mud dripping off of her. She's like Cousin It, but with a face, and it's all mud instead of hair. And like, that's the thing. And remember I showed you some other one where it was like, she farts in the guy's face. He rejects her.
They're I mean, like, the ads themselves, I guess they're serving their purpose, right? Because we're talking about them.
Yeah.
They're memorable. They live with us.
Look at these ghosts. They're so cute.
Oh yeah, stay on that watch.
What do they do? Do they float?
I mean,
do they move?
No, I don't think. I think they glow.
They're so cute.
Yeah, that was a cool little, affordable, limited edition watch. That one, actually, the person's only selling it for what? $1,900. It was a $475 watch. I guess they're coming down in price because people aren't fucking paying thousands of dollars for this thing. It was just supposed to be a fun little thing, and these vultures like got it. They just jumped on. And same thing with sporting event tickets, right? Or concert tickets.
Oh yeah, same thing.
They supposedly have measures in place to keep people from doing this, but they get around it. I don't know the means or the methods. But you can't actually get anything directly, I feel. If it's limited edition and it's not mass produced, good luck. Because you got these greedy bastards. Going back to those games, though, you were talking about all those weird ads. That's why they exist. just so we remember them. A woman covered in caked mud, farting in a man's face. What was the other one? Like Lily's Garden?
Which one's that? The one the one that you played all the time?
No,
where she was like cold and you have to shut her window, but really that wasn't the game.
I played Homescapes.
But is Lily's Garden the same thing?
We did that whole show. I think it's the same company. It's a very similar game.
Yeah.
Where the ads and don't actually show what the game is, which is just a match.
Oh, I love that King one where it's like, help me.
Those are fucking everywhere. The Lily's Garden ads were the ones where she is dating a guy and then he cheats on her and she catches him and she's pregnant with his kid and he like brushes the kid off and tells her off and speeds away on a moped and she cries.
Oh.
But again, the ads themselves are things that people then look forward to because they get so ridiculous. There's some baby dragon game.
Mm-hmm.
Where constantly in the ads, the baby dragon is abused by like a nasty dude and then saved by a woman. So it's literal child and animal abuse because the way it's presented is like reminiscent of an infant child or at least a toddler. And the guy's shaking it and throws it across the room because it garners this reaction.
Yeah.
It's animated, obviously.
I have to save it.
What?
Is that what I think that's your response, right? Like I have to save it. I have to play. I have to
save it. Yes. I thought you said I have to say that.
Oh, sorry, to save it.
And then some of those other ads like show the baby with its mom and the mom slayed with a sword or a bow and arrow and it dies and its blood spills out and the baby's sad and crying. So they're just going over the top on purpose because people like the ads, even though the ads represent nothing about the game. They just want you to download the game. That way they can trap you in their little ecosystem and you're stuck with Austin, the bald cunt butler in Homescapes.
Oh, no.
Where when we added that up, I spent over $300 whenever we did that show about it. I haven't played it since April.
Oh, wow. It's been that. How many years did you play it?
I played over 10,000 levels of that fucking game.
Wow. 10,000?
10,000 something levels.
Damn.
I would go check, but I'm not opening it again because then Austin will say, Jake, it's so great to have you back. Here are all these free power-ups. We've missed you.
And then you're like, I could win.
It was a dumb game. Austin the butler is an asshole. His parents are selfish, self-absorbed pieces of shit. And his poor dad, even though his dad is full of himself, at one point you have to redo the garage in the game and the dad's old hot rod cars in there. And Austin's like, why don't you drive this, Dad? He's like, I got in an accident. I don't like driving. It gives me bad memories. He's like, you will drive again. And you fix up the car and force him to drive it, even though he tells you he doesn't want to because he's scared because he has PTSD.
Oh my God. This game is so dumb.
And then he's got the romance that never happens with Catherine. She's way too pretty for him.
Did you play for so long because it was like a sunk cost thing? It's like, well, I've played this much. I have to keep going.
It's probably part of it. It's like before we had countdown clocks for the subway. And if you wait for 15 minutes, you're like, fuck, I don't. Like you could take a bus or maybe you could just walk or you find a different
Is it
means.
really coming? Am I wasting more time or is it coming right now?
Well, it's like I've already waited 15 minutes, so I can't give up. But if there were problems and you didn't know because this was pre-countdown clock, pre-app era.
Yeah.
Maybe they give you a station announcement. If they did,
that you can't understand.
Yeah, so like, okay, you could actually be there for quite a while.
Yeah.
But yes, after you wait that long, like, I don't know. I already spent this much time. It must be coming.
Time is a wild thing.
That's why I wear it on my wrist.
Yeah. And you are a little bit obsessed with time. I don't mean obsessed in a negative way, but you do mark time.
The passage of time.
Yeah.
Dominates my brain. I just think every time I talk to someone and they're like, hey, remember this? And it's like, yeah, I bring it up. Remember that thing that we did? That was already a year ago. Or that was already 3 years ago.
Yeah. Ellie's turning 10 in May.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy.
That 10 years.
Yeah. How did
from
that
when we
happen?
started the radio show in the basement.
Mm-hmm. Preggers. Got in that car accident.
Doesn't seem that long ago, but it was
That
10 years
asshole.
ago. Yeah, that guy in the truck that tried to blame everyone but himself.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, there were two. This was when we were doing the podcast in Eric's basement. Driving up there in the morning, going to his house, there's a reversible lane at some point, and in the morning it's reversed going towards the city, and we're heading out of the city because Eric lives in Roswell. So where that reversible lane is, the lanes merge. You have to get into the far right lane, and it kind of does back up at a light.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything illegal because the lane hasn't ended. You can be in the left lane. It
Yes.
merges with the right lane. So
I
people
could have
know-
gotten in the line like further back.
That doesn't even make sense. If people drove properly and didn't have fucking egos about it, what makes sense is you line up in the left and right lanes evenly, and then you zipper.
Yes. of
You
course.
just let a car in, you go. The car
Yeah.
behind you lets the car in, then they go. And I know that sometimes people merging are assholes too. Like if you did do it that way, there'd be a car that would try to squeeze in front of you, even though you were already letting a car go. Because
Sure.
people are dicks across the board. I don't think that getting in the left lane, again, the lane hadn't ended. There was nothing illegal about it. If people weren't so fucking competitive about everything, they would have just let you merge.
Yeah.
So as you're trying to merge, as this lane is becoming the reversible lane going in the opposite direction, it was a big pickup. I don't remember if it was an F-150, but
It was something big.
it was that size. And what
Yeah.
were you in? A Kia?
No, I think I was.
A Hyundai?
Yeah, something. I don't know.
So yeah, merging, there was space and the guy didn't want to let you in.
Mm-mm.
So sped up to try to cut you off. And as you merge in, the traffic backs up in front, and so the lane comes to a halt. And he's
There was
speeding.
somebody up in that was at the very end of the reversible lane, and he needed to get in. So somebody was letting them in. Right?
I don't remember what happened there, but I know that the truck was annoyed that you were trying to get in, so he sped up, and the traffic in front came to a stop, and so he slammed into the back of you,
Yeah.
which then pushed you into the car in front of you.
Yeah.
And everyone pulled over, went up the road, pulled over, and that guy tried to blame everyone else but
Yeah.
himself. The cops came. Cops said, "No, it's your fault and only your fault." But
He was
she,
he was saying I wasn't fully in the lane. And that I had like that I was like halfway in, halfway out, and she was like, "But the damage is square in the back of her vehicle."
yeah, it's not on the side.
Yeah.
It's you clearly hit her.
And it wasn't, it was, I had gotten into the lane, like in front of him. I wasn't, like, I was able to scoot in, and then he was pissed and came up really close to me to like say, "I didn't like that."
And it backfired on him, and he
Yeah.
was blamed for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And then he even like disputed it with the insurance. Like it went so far as to, it went to like whatever the thing is, like not a trial, but like maybe mediation. Like not that I was involved with that, but like the insurance companies were going back and forth, and I had to like give 2 interviews, one to my insurance company and one to the other. And I was still like, I think I don't know whether I'd had Ellie yet, or maybe I was just still super pregnant. And I was like crying.
you
I was like,
hadn't.
they
You
won't.
hadn't.
It's like it's it was so emotional, even because I was mad.
It was like February or March. Ellie was born May, right?
Yeah.
So
What a dick. The first thing he does, he like comes up and fucks with me in my window. And I'm so pregs, and he's like, blah, blah. I was like, first of all, hello, we just got in an accident. Are you okay? And he was like, oh. And then he saw I was pregnant, like, are you okay? I was like, fuck you. I don't fucking care, you dick.
are you okay? It's still your fault. Why are you trying to merge?
What a dick.
People, I don't know what it is. I understand in your car, you're encased, you feel removed, somewhat safe and protected. But there's so much anger that exists. Like it happened on the train the other night. This guy bumped into this woman, and she said, "You can say excuse me." And he like got in her face. I mean, did she need to say that? I would have been, look, if someone bumped into me, I'm going to be pissed, but it's also like, is it worth starting something with this
Yeah.
person? In my mind, it'd be Kurt's like, fuck you. But you excuse you. Yeah, that's what I would say. And I'm not saying she was wrong. I'm just saying, is it worth it ultimately? Because, and she was a bigger woman. It wasn't like some 4'9" small, but still,
Okay.
it's a dude and it's a woman.
Yeah.
And he gets in her face and he's threatened to fucking hit her.
What?
Because he bumped into her and she said,
You could say,
excuse you, or you can say, excuse me.
She's right.
I know she's right.
Yeah.
He didn't take kindly to that. And there were other people like Greta, like, hey, they were both pretty big people, honestly. But he backed off because I think he realized not that it wasn't worth it or worth hitting a woman. It was just that there were other people who were looking as like, hey, dude. And he probably didn't want to get in a fight with a bunch of people because if he had hit her, then there were people at the ready to go after him. But it's fucking, if I bumped into someone, I would say, excuse me. Now, some people are still assholes, and then they're going to get pissed that you bumped into them at all, even though you said, excuse me, and it was an accident.
Right.
There's the other side of it, but I can't imagine like running into someone and not saying, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I don't really understand that either. I mean, isn't that a it's some sort of trauma, right? There's some reason why.
There's some entitlement. Everyone thinks, I mean, there's anger that they carry around. I don't know what the fuck is going on with most of the people in the world. But that guy in the truck, it happens all the time in cars. There was a guy I think I brought up on the show when I was pulling up to an intersection who darted out from in between cars, not in the crosswalk. And I didn't see him. And I wasn't going fast because I was at a stop, but I was about to pull forward a bit because the car in front of me had turned onto the other road. And the look he gave me, it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, things happen. I wasn't driving insanely or aggressively or erratically or unsafely. I was just getting ready to move, and you darted in front of me. I think you could look at the situation and say, whatever, I didn't get hit. He saw me. He started to move a little bit. These things happen.
Yeah.
But instead, people want to, fuck you. How fucking dare you?
I don't really understand. I mean, everybody drives. Like, we've all made mistakes driving. Couldn't it be just, oh man, yeah, I've done that before.
When it's when you're driving on the highway and is heavy traffic, not stop traffic, but heavy. Also stop, but you want to switch lanes and you put on your turn signal and then a car speeds up to block you from going.
Yeah.
Why? What the fuck does it matter if one more car gets in front of you? What does it? Sometimes on an open highway, if you've got cruise control or something, and it's like, no, don't get in front of me because I don't.
Then you got to break your cruise, and that's really annoying.
And then sometimes there are people who get into the left lanes and drive slowly, which that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
No, the left lane is for passing. Each lane, right lane's the slowest lane. Lane next to that's to pass the right lane. Lane next to that's to go faster than those other two lanes. But some people camp out in the left lane and drive slowly, and then will do it on purpose. They seem to take glee in the fact that they're impeding you.
See, what is that? That's the same. It's like a passive. It's passive aggressive.
It's passive aggressive. It's entitled. I am the only thing that matters.
And I'm going to regulate this highway. This is my job to say, this is the max speed that we all should be going. And so I'm going to prevent you from making your choices.
There is zero capability of living together in a society.
That's not true. I think when in small societies, right, it's fine. That's why in small groups, socialism works. It's stuff like that. Things need to keep smaller.
On a compound.
Huh?
On a compound.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. In small instances. But when you bring a lot of people together, and then we remove the humanity from all of us by encasing ourselves in steel and glass.
We've also been
we've
been fed. It's like the whole you're special thing, the individualism and exceptionalism of America, which I think individualism is important. I think it should be balanced with the fact you also live in a society and there's a bunch of people. I'm not saying just follow the crowds and don't be yourself, but you don't take precedence over other people because you exist. Your individualism isn't
Well,
that
I mean, that's a
special.
survival thing, don't you think?
No, it doesn't need to be, because it doesn't exist as a person. You're like, all right, well, these survival mechanisms don't need to be put into place because there's no real threat, or there's no scenario that they apply to at this point.
No, I agree. I mean, I have those instincts too, like before, like as the pandemic was happening and, you know, the grocery stores were getting low, people were buying all the toilet paper and all that bullshit. I mean, I had that thought too, like, oh, if I get some, maybe I should, if I find some, I should keep a lot of it or something. But then I thought, no, I don't want to be like the rest of these people buying all this stupid, like, I'm fine. I'm just going to shop like I normally do and everything's going to be fine.
But they put you in that position because the toilet paper isn't available. So if you do see some, you think, fuck, it's barely available. So now I should buy a lot of it. Not because you're one of the people at first who thought, I'm hoarding this because I'm most important. Fuck everyone else.
But it's so weird.
You're
Everybody
on
just
your
calm
own.
Down.
It's insight into if a major event happens in the fabric of society. Well, it's already broken, but the support structure in place collapses. That's what it's going to be. Sure, along the way you'll find some people who band together, but still that's a relatively selfish thing because it gives them their best chance of survival. There's certainly people who want to help others, but that shit will have to settle into it. First, it's going to be a fucking free-for-all, and people are going to be the biggest dicks you've ever seen.
I think that'll be like the first wave, and then after the first wave subsides, it'll be the rest of us just being normal. Well, you would relatively
hope,
speaking.
You would hope, but I don't have much faith in that. See, not in this society. In Japan, where you're shamed if you do something that goes against the greater good. That's the way the train driver who leaves 2 seconds early because people are so reliant on the schedule being accurate that they know that it takes them a minute and a half to walk to the train, 90 seconds, and they know the train will be there in exactly 90 seconds. And if it leaves 85 seconds, it's like, well, I missed it because, and then he has to apologize to everyone.
But then they also get drunk and sleep in the streets. So I don't understand their thinking.
Yeah, they sleep, at least when they sleep in the streets, that's in places that isn't in the way of other people.
It is dedicated, like, businessman sleeping areas.
Yeah.
On the road in the gutters.
That's a nice thing. I understand that it's oppressive in many ways, and there are a lot of things about that society, but
like that whole Chican thing where it's like women don't speak up by they do now, but people weren't speaking up by when they were getting assaulted in subways because it was like, oh, it'll cause trouble.
Yeah, fuck that. So
Chican.
They had to give the women only cars.
Yeah.
Time. I don't know how we got to, well, we've already done a show on time. This was more watches, the passage of time.
This is Timepieces. Pieces of time. Say that.
We'll call it Pieces of Time.
Yeah.
What are we at? We're at 58.
Yeah, I have to get ready to get the kid. I'm picking up Pete early to take him to Target to buy Ellie a Christmas present.
Well, if somebody needs to merge, let them merge.
Absolutely. Everybody zipper.
That's it.
And don't have such an ego when you're driving.
If you're going normal distances in your neighborhood, even if you have an open road, speeding saves you what? 10 seconds?
Like sometimes not even that. Like there's always those things. I mean, I do it too. Like when I drive. I don't like tootle around. And I will still be like, I'll get around somebody and be like, yeah, gotcha. Like, you're so slow. I'm better than you. And then we'll end up at the light together. So It's not really a big difference.
Unless you're going hundreds of miles in a day.
Yeah.
And the difference is, 60 to 80 miles. Sure. An extra 20 miles an hour can add up if you're driving for 15 miles, for 15 hours, but it's, these distances that people drive, the aggressiveness, like let a car in. It's not going to fucking change a thing. You're still going to get home.
Again, more time.
At the same time.
Time.
I know. Relax. That's why I'm wrapping it up with that.
Nice job.
So, where's the music on my phone?
Play Pink Floyd's Time. Hey, this is our last show before Christmas.
Oh, yeah. It is.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas time.
Wrap it up.
Bye, guys. Love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. No, not Happy New Year. We'll do a show before New Year's. And Happy
Yes.
Hanukkah.
I guess Wednesday's our new release day. That's what it seems
Apparently.
to be. Should probably say that at the top of the show.
Bye.
The theme on the phone era.